Welcome to the It's Better Together podcast, where intelligent conversations turn dreams into action, with hosts Marcy Stout and Allison Nissen. Each episode highlights inspirational women and practical business advice from the Revel Coach Tuesday at 2 live programs. From building a website to securing more clients, we cover topics that are interesting to you. In this highlight reel of Tuesday at 2, we meet Emily Koeritz, a leader who leads by example.
I've learned so much from Emily because she not only is a great leader of teams, she's also a great leader of herself. I could just see her teams showing up for her one-on-one meetings on a weekly basis with a real intention to grow, and really glad we had this conversation because I learned so much.
Let's meet Emily.
Well, for American Homes for Rent, I've been with them since the beginning. Since 2012, I've been in property management and have worked my way up into different supervisory and leadership roles. Was a director of an HOA company as well for a short period of time. So throughout these different leadership roles, my goal has been, and also dabbling in career development business of my own, is to develop people to create their passion and purpose, whether it be in an external job in their own business or in their current functioning job, and how to reach their fullest potential, maximize their growth potential as well, and really be a key contributor to the team.
And when you're doing this, so starting with, say, where you are now, American Homes for Rent, did you hire everybody on your team, or did you inherit a lot of people that then you had to work backwards to kind of make sure everyone's aligned?
Both, yes. I've been in both positions where you come into a role as a leader and you have to figure out where your strengths and where your weaknesses are within the team. Sometimes that results in turnover, naturally or forced, and other times the teammates rise to the occasions and they really strive with that structure and with that leadership to show them the way. In my current role as well, there's been a lot of teammates who have really risen to the occasion and who have understood what is needed in their current role with property management, with field turn operations, with leasing, and we've really worked together to build strong teams who are collaborating and communicative.
Well, there's so much for us to talk about because I do love the aspect of team building. Like, we've all been on teams, and sports teams are the easiest one. Like, a team that really gels and they're having fun and they're enjoying it, they always win championships, regardless of athleticism. And it's fascinating how it's still true in corporate America as well. So can you share, let's say you were just asked to take on a new team at American Homes for Rent. So they say, okay, you need to take on this new district. Walk us through how you'd get started with getting to know the new team and the individuals that are part of it.
Yeah, so step one is definitely getting to know the people that you work with versus coming into a role as a leader and setting expectations before you really know the ins and outs and the strengths and weaknesses of each teammate. So building those relationships for me has been best on a one-on-one situation. Weekly one-on-ones is something that I always start with any team that I start working with, and then maintain that throughout our relationship as well, to have that dedicated time for teammates to, it's really their one-on-one to lead and to come to you with what urgent items of topic that they want to discuss, and then to be able to provide feedback in a candid and open situation. There's a book also called The Effective Leader that I've really enjoyed, which helps you structure those one-on-ones and really maximize that time in a very defined 30-minute space.
Mm-hmm. All right, tell us more about The Effective Leader, because I do love that. I think it's a great, practical, awesome book. So tell us more from your vantage point, what types of lessons you that inspire you for your approach.
When it comes to that book and how I've implemented it, it comes down to the relationships that you build and the respect. You need to earn your teammates' respect. It should be not something that is automatically guaranteed that you're going to get when you jump on a team or when you become a new leader. That respect comes two ways. From a leader standpoint, you should always give your team initial respect and trust, especially that you start those relationships with trust that is given throughout throughout the entirety, but initially in that first interactions, that you trust your individuals and the teammates that you work with to be transparent, and then to build on that trust from there, and to really ask for permission when giving feedback as well. It can be disarming to ask that, and really set your teammate up to be receptive to receiving feedback. So if you're in a one-on-one situation and you have some constructive feedback to give a teammate, pausing and giving them the opportunity by asking them the question, do you mind if I give you some constructive feedback right now? And it kind of relaxes them and sets them up for expectations of, okay, I'm going to have some feedback given my way, maybe bring my guard down a little bit, and let's see how this conversation goes. But I've learned that disarming question really helps lead the conversation into a more positive direction.
So Emily and I met at Toastmasters, which it's to me, I love Toastmasters. Everyone who listens knows I love Toastmasters. But Emily, from what you've just said and talking about permission to give feedback, how do you think the evaluation portion of Toastmasters plays into that? At that point, you're expecting feedback.
I've noticed that as well through our relationship and through working through Toastmasters, is that defined space allows you to hopefully be open to that conversation and expect that there's going to be some items that you can take into consideration and apply them to being better. As leaders, as teammates, and especially in Toastmasters, unless you're open to receiving that feedback, and if the message is being delivered with respect, kindly, and with good intentions in mind, it's going to do nothing but give you more tools and resources and allow you to advance your skill set and can develop yourself.
All right. So what I love that you're saying, did we just talk at the same time?
We did, but that's okay.
What I love that you're saying is just to combine your personal approach with getting to know people and saying this is their opportunity to run a meeting, ask questions, they're one-on-one with you, and you have a little bit of the expectation of, I'm going to give you some feedback. And Toastmasters, which is one of the best organizations because it's such a repeatable process in every town and every corporation that hosts those. When you walk into a Toastmasters meeting, you expect two things. Well, three. One, a warm audience, but two is to take personal risks, and three, to get feedback on how you did on that personal risk. So you really are kind of like, all right, give me the feedback. I'm ready for it, but you're kind of cringing. And then what you say with your leadership style is very similar to that. Like, you're very consistent with your one-on-ones. You're very consistent with asking for feedback. May I give you feedback? And I'm not sure I recognize, we talk Toastmasters a lot. I'm not sure I recognize that until right now, because I know your leadership with so many people, Emily, you have to kind of create a repeatable, predictable approach as a leader so
Absolutely.
that you have a win in your favor.
And also what you're saying, that consistency is very important for that maintained trust and to continue to build trust. And when you have teammates who have been on your team year after year, it shouldn't be the annual review, especially in corporate America. It shouldn't be once a year that you're giving that feedback. That's why I love the weekly one-on-ones. And some people structure it bi-weekly, but weekly really allows you the opportunity to have that confined space and to give feedback not just once a year. It shouldn't be a surprise at the end of the year how your team is performing. And it should just allow you the opportunity to recap the strengths and weaknesses of the teammate, and then to really focus on the development portion, which will lead them into goals and setting expectations for the following year.
How do you help encourage your team to set goals? And did they set a team goal as well as individual goals?
Yes, so we definitely have KPIs that drive our teams to meeting goals. We definitely, more importantly, I think, than the team goals are the individual goals. And we do this on a quarterly basis. We structure an assessment and development plan that is backed by actions for each teammate, and it's personalized for them. And it's not something that I set for them. I'll set the structure and the conversation, but each teammate sets their individual goals and creates that action plan themselves, which holds that accountability that I'm owning this plan. This is my development plan. This is my goal setting time. And these are the tools and these are the steps that I'm going to take personally whether it be process related, conversationally related, how are we going to engage more so that those actions will create the results that are desired.
And how are you handling now as corporate America is adjusting to more of a virtual style leadership? And it probably, there's a lot of consistency that will continue through the next few years as we're more comfortable on Zoom. How do you handle goal setting, holding them accountable, goal setting, inspiring them when it's virtual? Like what have you learned as you transition to more of a virtual leadership style?
It has been a challenge to jump on this new bandwagon of virtual leadership because you don't have that proximity to your teammates as you used to, where you can jump into their office or come step by them desk side. So we have daily meetings of teams to be able to set that structure on a daily and weekly basis and make sure all teammates are on track. And morale has been a big part of that as well, that in order to hold the team accountable, not only with their day-to-day, but to encourage positive morale while people are working from home, because it can get lonely. Everybody has a different work experience in a work setting at home. Some people might not have a confined office and there's distractions. So what we've done for this virtual environment is really expand and optimize our team building exercises. And we did this in the office as well, but transitioning to more virtually, where we have a dedicated 15-minute team building activity every Friday. And our managers will lead them. Different teammates will step up and say, I have a great idea for a team building activity. And it's all online. It's all through, we use the Teams platform, but Zoom is another great avenue for you to connect with your teammates. And we have a lot of fun with that. We have prizes that people can win once a week. And it really just allows all teammates, because we have people in the office working virtually, we have people in the field as well. So everybody has an opportunity to join those, to have fun, share some laughs, and win a prize at the end of the day.
Emily, what are one of your favorite exercises that you've done?
So just last week, we were partaking in what they call a tiny campfire exercise. This is something that another company has facilitated. It's teambuilding.com, and they have other activities that you can partake in, but they'll send you a mini campfire set with a tea light, a chocolate, s'mores, graham crackers, and you light your little s'mores in front of your computer, and you have this campfire extravaganza with your team where you compete and have games. And I got a lot of really good feedback from the team saying they really enjoyed that exercise. So we're going to be looking at more similar in the future.
Oh my God, I love it. I think that's so great. Just because like the thought of just doing something different at your desk, and then the campfire. So like my visual for a campfire is just like cozy and open, and you share stories and just relax. So that's pretty cool. I love that. So teambuilder.com, and that's just a free web. I have never seen that or heard of it, but looks like a pretty good sounds like a good resource.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was super fun. They have counselors that will lead you through the activity, and they have other ones as well. I think coffee and tea was another fun one. We'll send you samples and talk about some of the fun history of the coffees and teas. But it allows the team also, and these are activities that we're doing off the clock as well. So these aren't paid mandatory, it's optional. And for us to have 20 or so teammates take the time out of their day to come and spend time with the team off the clock speaks volumes that they're committed to the team as well. And the more people that join and spread the word that they enjoyed it, I expect that the next activity will get even more participation.
And with the growth of your company, are you all still hiring and growing? Like how has I guess 2020 in the later part of the year impacted your business, and what do you see on the horizon?
I'm sure others in property management or the rental industry, we are a real estate investment trust, a REIT, and we have seen huge gains in our rental demand with COVID-19, and we see the trends of people getting out of the condensed city populations and moving to more spacious single family. All of our homes are single family homes. So they're having a yard, having more space for their families, and feeling more safe versus in the condensed city space. So we have across the nation definitely seen an increase in our occupancy and an increase in our residents who are wanting that type of living environment.
So does that make your team grow too, your internal team, to support that growth?
So we're not expanding our roles right now, but during the seasonality of high time summer, we definitely felt the impact. So that's where me and my other fellow leadership teams in Houston really work on process refinement during the slower months right now. And as we get into winter, that we can take the time to refine our processes and be more prepared for the next summer busy leasing season, so that our teammates feel that they have more structure and more organization to be successful and to get back to residents timely and to address all resident concerns.
Tell me how you stay inspired. So you're busy, you're dealing with 2020, let's roll our eyes, and then you're building the team, and then you're planning events, and you're busy. So what keeps you inspired as you continue on?
My vision and something that drives me to be the best leader I can, and I remind myself this constantly, is what type of impact do I want to have on others? And I want to impact others to feel passionate about what they're doing and to really have a purpose, like I said before. So that inspires me, that I'm going to give my best every day and to continue to develop myself in my leadership so that I can encourage and motivate my team to do the same as well and to advance their careers. And I find satisfaction when teammates are developing and then are given the opportunity to step up into that next role.
And looking back on your career, did you find a time that you were, say, not living up to this inspired person that wakes up like, oh, I can't wait to kind of give more and lead more? Was there a time in your career that you weren't that person? Like, can you describe any sort of like obstacles through the way to get to where you are now?
Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely good days and bad days like we all have as humans. But for me, what has put me on this path was some of the challenging leaders that I had to overcome as well, and kind of taught me. I had some really great leadership inspiration and then some not so great leadership inspiration where I learned I don't want to be this way. And when leaders talk to their teams in a certain way where it's negative and using you language and kind of accusatory, that deflates their motivation. And so I've learned through experiences and what I've gone through I want to be that manager who's going to be positive, who's going to be uplifting. And no, do I nail it on the head every day? No. But I also focus a lot on meditation and internal, how I can overcome the stress. As leaders and managers, there is a lot of stress every day. And so how do we prioritize the things that matter most for our teams and our business? And part of what the effective manager talks about as well is that those small, minute items, at the end of the day, if they don't get done, maybe they weren't really priority for the business to get done. So really prioritizing the items that need to get done first and trying to show up every day for your team.
Well, the leading by example, it definitely helps, but knowing that you're on their side, you've got their back. They're not just thrown to the wolves and you're standing there watching from the sidelines.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a shoulder to shoulder leadership style. And it's also a lead by example that you said that I like to encompass. It's not just do what I've asked or what I say. It's this is the best way that I see. Let's talk about it. What ideas do you have? Because I think the feedback of the team, they're the subject matter experts in so many ways. And their ideas have really advanced our ability to be successful as well. But that shoulder to shoulder, being there with the team, helping them overcome obstacles that they have in their individual roles, I think shows them the type of leadership and district that we've created, and that we are really one team working on a common goal.
When it goes back to what you were saying earlier about trust, like if you are shoulder to shoulder and you trust each other, you have a good viewpoint of what success looks like. So knowing that not everyone's perfect every single moment of the day, like you can trust each other to lean on each other and for motivation and support.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite trends that happening right now is we hear a lot of strong business leaders leveraging meditation and that type of work into their career success. And can you just share, like, if somebody's in that stage, one of our audience members wants to have more balance and presence and meditation on a day-to-day basis, but they're so busy, they're like, I just don't have time, or I don't know how to do it. My mind is too busy. I don't know how to settle it. Can you just share a couple approaches or your viewpoint on how to give advice to somebody?
Absolutely. And it's been a newer venture for me too. I've had to figure out channels to reduce my stress and to be the best teammate and leader that I can be. I've created a dedicated space in my house is one technique that I've used. I call it my meditation room, where it's set up in a peaceful area. And when I go in there, I just turn on my Zen music, and the first thing I do is focus on my breathing. And that's something I think on my day-to-day that I catch myself forgetting to breathe. Even sometimes in presenting, I forget to breathe, and I get overwhelmed with the anxiety of it sometimes. So learning to breathe and to take breaths really calms the heart rate, as we know, and allows our mind to relax and to not think about anything, to think about positive thoughts, think about how much we're loved, think about all the positives that are going on in our lives right now, the successes that we've had to get to this point, because it's so easy to be overwhelmed by the negative noise and distractions around us all the time that it's hard to dedicate that time. But if you can start with 10 minutes, if you can start with 15 minutes and then build from that, I think you'll find a lot of good results from it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned breath, because as soon as you said it, I found myself like, I think I was just holding my breath. It's just, you don't even realize, when you're into something, how you're accidentally not allowing your body to like do the natural things like breath work. So for your space, can you describe a little bit more? Is it an actual room? Is it a closet? Is it a space within a space? Can you just kind of give us a little bit more insight on that?
It's a whole room. Yeah, we've recently purchased a house and have allowed that one dedicated room to be the Zen den, and have a little water fixture. And for my birthday this year, my mother-in-law got me a sand and rock where I can paint some pretty designs in my sand aquarium, and some candles and a Buddha statue. So those visual items help reduce stress, and then the practice of mindfulness and breathing help your body to get in that relaxed state as well.
How do you practice your mindfulness? Do you have a guided meditation? Do you have a mantra that you...
For me, it's I am loved, reminding myself that I am loved, and that I think oftentimes we get caught up in the expectations and trying to meet what everybody else is expecting of us, and to just remind ourselves that we are we have so much positivity, whether it be family or friends that support us, and that's something that I always go back to, is that I am loved, and it makes me feel safe, and it makes me feel more energized than thinking of everything I have to do and what's next. And that's something that's challenging when you're trying to be mindful, is to get the to-do list out of your head and to really be present in the moment, that these 15 minutes that you're going to dedicate to meditation, the to-do list will wait, and that these minutes are really going to propel you into being more productive when you do get back to your to-do list.
I also find that when I do find that time and that space, especially when it's midday. So I love the morning work and kind of making sure my intention starts off right. And that's like the easiest and most enjoyable, because it's actually the simplest in my world. But when I do it midday, if I end any type of quiet time, I then will say, and what's important for me to accomplish. And I actually can come back and almost scratch through the entire to-do list. Like, why was I worried about these things? Or I can put certain worries to, 2 months from now, or, certain things you think are all important because you don't have time. It's like the breath. It's like you're running so hard, like, okay, just keep picking up all these to-dos. And when you stop, you're like, wait, why am I holding all this stuff? So I love that. Do you have anybody on your team that's kind of resistant to it?
To the change, or to what?
If you talk about like meditation, if somebody's stressed out and you're trying to say, have you considered doing this? And they're like, no, that's totally woo woo. I don't do that. Do you have anybody?
Yeah, I've offered it as a suggestion. Some people take it, some people leave it. And I think everybody has their channel as well. Meditation might not be for everybody, but giving it a try, I think, is worth it to see what did you like out of it. Like I said, I haven't spent most of my career. This is something new that I'm venturing in. So, using more different videos to follow and different practices to implement is something that I look forward to. And for others as well, exercise can be a great form of relaxation and clearing the noise to really focus. That's something that I try to do every morning. I like to run. So I used to be big into, running events and half marathons, but with COVID, that's kind of broke down. So needing to get out and still run and make sure that I can get that dedicated time. And that's where I find most of my productive thinking, when I'm running and thinking of ideas about what I want to do to tackle the day. So it's not just meditation. There's a bunch of different avenues to reduce that stress and to reduce the anxiety too. There's so much anxiety that we have every day in our jobs, that what is that channel that's going to allow you to be your best self? Is it taking a bubble bath with a glass of wine? Is it, something that just allows you to break away and to really connect with yourself and be mindful?
Emily, thinking back on the leadership aspect of your intentions, do you have other leadership books or podcasts that you like to listen to or read frequently?
I do. So we, as a leadership team with American Homes for Rent, have ventured into different leadership books. One of them is right here, actually, The Chimp Paradox. The Chimp Paradox is about mind management and how to overcome what they call the chimp and the emotional side, and really focus on the strengthening both your human side that processes rationality, and then the chimp and the emotional side to really allow your emotions and logical thinking to project you forward and to be the best person, not even professionally, but personally, that you can be. So that's a big book that we're working through right now, that I really am finding a lot of key gold nuggets to take from and to apply to my life.
It seems like it really dovetails nicely with your idea of meditation practice and your running and being able to just sort of process the goals that you create.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, the reading that we've rolled out to our different managers, we talk about on a weekly basis in a structured environment where one teammate will take a chapter and read it and then report back to the other leadership team for our whole region of let's talk about this. Let's be open and vulnerable about what we're struggling with personally or as leaders, and be open to discussing those, because we all have similar challenges when it comes to managing a team and trying to get the most out of them to be the most effective. There's a channel or a group on Facebook called Fearless Motivation that I follow, and so it shows up on my feed all the time and gives me little sparks of motivation. And one thing that they say that I've read on there is that the skill set and the knowledge that we have today is not going to get us where we want to be tomorrow. So that, to me, has allowed me to be more receptive, that I don't know what I don't know, and I need to be open to listening and learning from others in order to advance and grow. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be surrounded by people who are going to continue to challenge and uplift and encourage, but also allow me to advance myself further.
This has been a great conversation. We are grateful that you were a part of our journey because we both did take a lot of notes. And I love your style. I love, how you kind of shared what you do and in all facets. So thank you so much, Emily. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this opportunity and great conversation. Thank you.
To watch a live Tuesday at 2 program with Revel Coach, visit us at revelcoach.com. Until next time.